everyone, and welcome back to my shop. Well, I guess you can tell what somebody got for Christmas. We're going to get back on the Vette. I know I've been talking about getting into the carburetor, but I ran into a problem while I was driving this a bunch, and I don't know if I self-inflicted it or if it's been there the whole way. And it's an electrical issue, and it's got to do with the lights. You know, I thought I fixed the lights a couple episodes ago. So anyway, let's stay tuned and let's see what in the world, if I'm the Bubba in this case. Okay, I don't have to start the engine to get those headlights up. I'll just go ahead and turn them on here. But I want you to see something. The headlights are on, and if you notice down there, I've got a solid turn signal, left side turn signal light on. And oddly enough, tail lights look good. And the front running lights look good here on the left side and here on the other. Now, like I say, I'm not sure if I caused this or if it's something I just hadn't noticed. So stay tuned here and let's see what's going on. Okay, a little backstory. Now, I've had that dash apart, and I replaced every bulb in that dash. And guess what? We turned the lights back on, and on the drive, where the turn signal's on, which is the speedometer, that light's not working. There's two bulbs or four bulbs there, brand new, not working. They work everywhere else. So, could I have done it when I had this apart, putting that in? I don't know. And another thing, I'll turn it off. I was up here troubleshooting the headlights, and I was up here in this area, and the actuator here, I rebuilt it, so I've been in there. Of course, I don't think I messed with any electric. So I'm trying to go back. What in the world could I have done to do this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the easy. And the first thing I'm going to start with is I put a new bulb in this right here, 1157. Let's see if that's related in some kind of way. Well, those of you that follow my channel know that I really don't like to have to jack stuff up. Well, it's a lot easier to work on this thing jacked up than it is on the ground. And another thing, I want to change the grease in the rear end anyway. So that's why we're putting this thing up in the air. So bear with me. It's a lot easier to get to it this way anyway. Let's see, where is that socket? There he is. Well, the socket looks good. Let's turn the lights on. Let's see what happens. Well, all right. It did not bring the light on. So, maybe I didn't have that all the way. Let's put him back in and make sure I had him in correctly. He only goes in one way. See what happens. He's back on again. And he's on. That's an odd one. Try another bolt. Alright, we got a different bolt. And that turns him on too. Okay. So, something about that. We'll have to double check our wiring diagram to see what's going on here. Connector there. All right, I've been reading with my meter, and this center terminal here is the ground. So when I read from either side of these to those contact points where the bulb hits, I get maybe 0.5 ohms, okay, somewhere around in there. But when I read to the ground, I'm getting like 19 or more. So I'm thinking that my ground here on the side is so corroded that it's not making a good ground that way, and it's finding a ground back through the light circuit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean them grounds up, and I'll be back. Let's see if that fixes it up. Okay, boys and girls, I'm underneath here. I'm just wanting to show you a few things. Have you ever fixed something and you don't know exactly what you did? Well, that's what I'm looking at right now. This pigtail came off of the left side. This is the right side now. I decided I'd swap the pigtails that goes to the turn signal and lights and parking light assembly, and well, at first the problem did not change, and then when I dressed the wires back up into these hooks right here, and then on the other side the problem went away. Okay, so now I've been going diligently over these wires, and I can't find a skint spot or any spot that possibly could have been shorting. Now, it couldn't have been shorting the ground. It had to have been the turn signal wire and the parking light wire, which comes on with parking lights and headlights, had to be shorting together somewhere. And I have not found a skinned spot or anything. So what I'm going to do, where this goes into that metal clip, it's possible something could have pierced it, both wires. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tape each one individual, and then I'm going to tape the wad that goes in this clip and do it on this side, and I'm going to do it on the other, over here on the side, on the driver's side. Now, I'm going to see, you can see where I've started taping there, okay? And like I say, I have not found any shiners anywhere. Now, I did put this piece of tape here because it seemed like the wire may have been cracking some going in, but it still would have to have shorted to the other one, and it wasn't. So, anyway, so I'll show you a few things, how we're working now, and I got even my two other things corrected with this repair that I've yet to determine what I did. So hold on. All right, let's turn everything on down and see what we get. Now look at that. Number one, I have got my dash light. My speedometer lights are now working. Remember now, the speedometer lights were not working, but the tack lights were, and the tack doesn't work itself. And I had a solid turn signal on, okay? And another thing I had was the high beam indicator was on for the low beams. And when I switched to high beams, it would go out. Bass backwards, right? I was going to get on that next. So we'll walk up here, and there we go. There's my low beams. Okay. Now let's you'll notice there's no indicator on the dash now for high beam. We are now in high beam. There's the high beam indicator, that blue deal. And there's high beams. All right. And we've got the side marker light and the front parking light. And we've got the same on this side. All right. Now, I mean, you know it's a ground. It's all 9 times out of 10, it's always a ground or a lack thereof. Okay, now what I'm going to do, turn the lights off. Now, I don't know if this is normal or not. I'll tell you, that's a touchy. Turn the key on. Okay. Turn signal's on. There's the indicator. All right. And we're blinking now. If you notice, the side marker and the front turn signal light are synchronized, okay? Nothing over here. All right, now let's go back to the back. Now this has been modified too, because it doesn't have reverse lights, and I've fixed that one. That was going to be where I started next, because I was in that too. All right, what I'm showing is the turn signal works good. No bleed over. Okay, now we'll go to the right. There's the indicator. All right, we're good there. And let's come up front. All right, parking light and the side marker light are synchronized, okay? Now, that's kind of key. Now, what I'm going to do, turn this turn signal off. All right, now I'm going to turn the headlights on. All right, now, left hand turn signal. And he's flashing, good. It did not come on with the headlights. We're working good here. You can see my lower intensity tail lights aren't flashing, and my brake lights are, or turn signals. We go up front. Now look here. They are not synchronized. All right, the side marker is flashing opposite of the front turn signal now, and it'll do the same on the other. Now I don't know if that's normal or not, but both sides are doing it. Okay, we're good there. Come up here. Yep, both sides doing it. They aren't synchronized. So, like I say, I don't know if that's normal or not. That's fine with me. I mean, I can live with it. You vet guys could possibly know. Okay, we turn him off, turn the lights off, and turn the key off. So all of a sudden, my electrical problems are fixed by me messing around with those front two turn signal lights. And you know it had to be the lack of a ground going to one of them, and the circuit finding its way to ground through the other. Either the headlights were finding a ground through the turn signal, or turn signal through the headlights. So anyway. Man, oh man, 2 days ago it was in the 60s. Now we're in the freezing temps of 30s, and we got a winter wonderland. But Christmas is gone. What good is this white stuff? Anyway, let's get to it. This is day 4 of testing this, and I come out and pulled the lights on, and the gremlin was back. So I decided I'd crawl under, while it was still acting up, I crawled underneath, I jerked and pulled on every wire I could reach underneath and in the engine compartment, couldn't get it out. Went under the dash, pulled, jerked, pulled, everything, couldn't get it out. Went back to the tail lights, pulled, jerked, did everything, still wouldn't go out. I reached up there to the light switch and inadvertently wiggled it, and it went out. So I turned the lights on, pulled them back on. I couldn't reproduce it. It was working great. So it almost looks like it's pointing to the light switch. So let's step over here to the schematic and let's see if it makes any sense, if the light switch could be causing that problem. Okay, I've got my big schematic and I got my manual laid out here. Let's go over the circuits real quick and see if we can make any heads or tails out of it. All right, here's my big schematic, and here is the schematic in the book. First off, I want to point out that this book, schematic's wrong, okay? This is the side marker lamp, and it shows one side of the side marker going to a common ground. That is incorrect. Actually, this is correct, and several other sources I found online is correct. So let me explain. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. But basically, here's your marker light right here. Here's your turn signal and parking light right here. Okay, this is a side marker, turn signal, parking light. All right, if you notice, there's 3 wires that goes to the turn signal parking light, and that is your turn signal lead, your parking light lead, and ground, okay? On the side marker lamp, you have the turn signal lead, and you've got the parking light lead. You do not have a ground. I repeat, you do not have a ground like the manual shows. So I can see you now scratching your head like me. Well, Dave, how in the world does that lamp light if it doesn't have a ground? It must ground through the casing. Well, no, it doesn't, because it's all plastic. And that is just a dual element bulb. So this is how I think it works, and I could be mistaken, and if I am, it won't be the first time and it won't be the last. So anyway, I did some color coding. I've only had two magic markers that worked, red and yellow. So anyway, the red, and this is the light switch. So this would be the parking light circuits, the red going, okay? And you see you got two wires tied down on the light switch at the same terminal, all right? And they come down. One goes to the connector that goes to the front. The other comes down and goes to the connector, which is to the rear lights, okay? So that anytime you turn the headlights on, your parking lights also come on. So they come on no matter if it's just parking lights or if it's headlights too, okay? And that's controlled, of course, by the switch. All right, this is the turn signal switch, all right? And it is yellow. And you can see it's got all kinds of leads coming out of it. But basically, it comes down and hits that same connector going up front, comes out here, and it goes to the marker light and the turn signal lights. Of course, it does on the right side too. And it comes down, feeds all the way back to the rear, all right? So, you look and you figure, well, where are common points that it's pretty obvious that the parking light circuit, which turns on with the headlights, and the turn signal circuit for the left side somehow is getting commoned, is getting shorted in some way or some method. And I think I know what it may be. And believe it or not, some of it is designed into the circuit. All right, let's go real quick to the side marker. There's no ground. So, you know, in order for current to flow, you got to have positive from the battery has got to make its way back to the negative of the battery. That's, you know, we call the negative ground. So hot has got to find ground, okay, before it will turn that lamp on. How I think it works is, all right, let's talk about with the lights off, all right, no lights on, and engine on, you know, key on. So you turn your turn signal on, you got hot coming down the yellow lead, coming out, comes over, hits a junction right here. One of the wires off that junction goes to one side of the side light, okay, and the other goes to the turn signal element of the 1157 bulb, which is the front turn signal / parking light bulb, all right? So you got voltage going, sitting on one side on both lamps. So we know that we got a ground to this lamp on the front parking light turn signal because of the ground lead going here. So how does it get a ground to the side marker light? Well, what I figure it does is it uses the parking light circuit, all right, that is off. So it comes down, hits this junction, goes out to the parking lights on these two bulbs and also to these bulbs, okay? And what does it do? It goes through the bulb to ground, okay? So that's how that marker light, side marker, gets its ground, is actually through the circuit all the way through the turn signal parking light bulb. That's why when I removed this bulb, the problem went away. It could, because it wasn't getting a ground to turn on the turn signal light. All right. So when you have power on the parking light, remember you got power on this red lead, when the parking light's on and or the headlight. Okay. So you turn power on. So power comes down on the red, goes to the connector, comes through, hits this common, comes down to the parking light filament on this 1157 bulb and the ground, okay? It also, at this connector, comes down, hits the side marker lamp, through the lamp, back feeding to this point here, which is the turn signal lamp, which is tied into the parking lamp turn signal lamp, and it too goes through the element, the ground. So that's how it gets ground. So that kind of explains how they work with the lights off. So now let's throw a big old curve in the situation and turn the lights on. Yeah, so now what you have, with the lights on and the turn signal on, you have power sitting on both leads, right, of this side marker lamp. Now your front parking light turn signal, since it's got its separate ground, it's working fine. You can see how it works fine through the ground. But how in the world does that side marker work? Well, from what I can tell, the power from the turn signal is first has to go through a flasher, and then it applies the 12 volt to the lamp. All right? So that way, when the flasher is closed, it turns the light on. Now, when it opens, it turns the light off. That's how, a flasher is basically an on and off switch, an automatic on and off switch. All right? So, what happens with this side marker is and if you notice, when I was doing my tests, you seen these two lamps, they flashed in synchronous, they flashed together, synchronized with the lights off, correct? Hold on. Had to sneeze. So you notice that they did flash synchronized, correct? But when the headlights are on, you notice that they flip-flopped. They weren't synchronized, right? When the turn signal was on the front light, it was off on the side marker. When it was off on the front light, it was on the side marker. So you see it was flip-flopping. What it was doing is when the flasher removes power down the turn signal circuit, the parking light has a path to ground through this connection, through the bulb to ground. Okay? So, that's why they weren't in sync. It's actually using the ground of the 1157 bulb when the flasher opens the circuit. All right? So that makes kind of sense. It doesn't make sense that was how the problem was caused. But the problem is we are illuminating this left-hand turn signal light, which you can't barely see now. The yellow LED comes down, comes all the way down and up to the switch. All right. So how are we getting illumination to that left-hand turn signal indicator right here when the headlights are on, but no turn signal is on? So probably what I had was I could have had a problem with a connection on either one of these pigtails, and or I'm thinking more towards a bad ground. All right, so I found there's a common ground is right here. All right, on the circuit. Well, I'm sorry, right here. There's your common ground that ties to all the bulbs. All right. I found that up there, and it was pretty corroded. So I pulled it off and cleaned it up, shined it up real good, and reconnected it and made it tight. Let me see if I can get in that area. And it is behind that wire right there. All right. So I cleaned him up too. So, but how does that turn on? Number two questions I've got is, how does that turn off the dash lights on the on the speedometer? Only the speedometer. The dash lights work on the tach, the center console, and the gauge cluster. So how does it turn just that off? And how does it make the high beam indicator go backwards? Boys and girls, I do not know. The only place that I've determined that that's common is right here at this bulkhead connector between here, between here and here, okay? This is in the firewall on the kick panel down on the below the steering wheel, and this is below the master cylinder. So what I did is I could not get it unplugged, so I jerked around on it. I could not reproduce the problem that way, so I just made sure that I had it plugged in good all the way, and because that's really the only place where the high beam circuit and the parking light and the turn signals all common. They don't common here at the light switch. Although at one point when I was troubleshooting, I wiggled the shaft in this new Chinesium made light switch and the lights problem went away. Could have been a combination of several problems, and it could have been corrosion got in the contacts in this bulkhead connector between here and here. It doesn't look like any, there could be some of those green, evil green rust, what do you call them, crunchies. They could be in there, but they will make us, I mean, they don't, a lot of times they're not intermittent, and especially if you're jerking around on the connectors and everything and you can't make it either go away or come. That kind of gets that away, but the crusties. So there could be crusties in these connectors. I sprayed them all down on the outside and cleaned them up, and I'll show you here where I'm talking. All right. You probably won't be able to see it good. Get a light down in there. Right there. Alright. Right here is the connectors. And you can see I cleaned it up good and I made sure they were seated good. It's got a good seal all the way around, so I don't, and it's got some kind of rubberized seal on the outside. So I don't think we got any crusties in there, but that, if the problem does reoccur, that's more than likely where it's at, and I'm going to have to disassemble it. Anyway, I went on the inside, and it comes out separate. So anyway, in all the wiring, you can see from is well taped with the factory tape, even to the alternator. There's no skins or anything that I can see. So the wiring looks good as far as out here in the engine compartment. Anyway. Well, all right. I hate to close this one right now, because other than thinking that it was a bad ground and maybe a loose connection and perhaps even a bad connection here at the bulkhead connector, I haven't found any definitive problem with this electrical system, with this gremlin that I found. He may be in there asleep, I don't know. Now, at one point I could jiggle the headlight switch when I had it on, and the light went out, which is possible, the light being the turn signal light, which is possible that could have occurred, but it could also be a coincidence. You know, when bad grounds can cause some of the strangest problems you'll ever run into, especially with these old cars and trucks. And that's why I'm tending to go with that ground that I had up there, that it just wasn't good. And the connectors, you know, all connectors to the bulbs, bulkhead connector, pigtails, everything unplugged and plugged back in, trying to get that good connection. Hopefully now, it's been a couple days and I haven't had the problem again. It was 3 days the last time before it came back. So anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that. And if it comes back, we'll get in it some more. Now I'm going to get back, I'm going to get on some other things that this car is needing, because I want to get it ready to get on the road. Of course, we're in the dead of winter now, and this is the Chevy truck's going to shine in this thing, but he's got a good working heater, and I want to get him out and running a little bit too. So anyway, hope everything's going good with you and yours. Everything is going good here, except for fixing stuff that I don't know what in the world I've done. Perhaps fix it. I don't know. But Can't complain really, and don't do me no good to complain anyway, even though I do complain some. I just try to take care of the business. Hope you do too. So have a good one, and I hope to see you around on the next one. See ya. You over here get my heat going.